I was kind of concerned. I don't have Facebook, and my phone got blasted with some of the posts that you put up, and they're questioning me, what's this about? You know, what's the deal? I go, I don't know. I don't have Facebook, so I go, the only one that could respond to that would be Erica. So yeah, I got it from the top, I got it from the bottom, and from the middle, everywhere.
Well, what's going on? Specific?
I believe it was the one. I know they sent me two, but the one that they were really concerned about was when you mentioned about the leadership of the Assemblies of God. What an excuse, or something like that. I guess it was after Donna and maybe what's his name, John Easter, had given their report about those allegations and that you had mentioned to us before, you know, about the live dead and some of that stuff. So anyway, so they forwarded it to me. I got it through email. I got it, you know, through text, your post, and it says, what's going on with Erica? I go, I don't know.
Well, so I mean, honestly, I went to school for a semester at Sam Houston. So, like, fortunately, I wasn't actually very involved with the Chi Alpha because I was fundraising at the time to go overseas. But, you know, I have friends on my Facebook that are close to that situation, and I know there's people that are watching and waiting for AG to respond right, and it's not happening, you know, and that's just, it's heartbreaking. If they're not going to respond right, I want, you know, people that know that I have nothing to do with that. I don't approve of the excuses that are being made. Like, it's just sad. There's students that have left the faith over this, I'm sure. There's students that have left the church, and nobody's apologized for their part in it, and that's just, it's very heartbreaking.
They want a different kind of apology, because I heard the apology on the reports. I heard the apologies of, you know, now I can't speak for that because I wasn't there. I had nothing to do with it. I'm coming in new. But in the short time that I have been here, I have seen some of the new people in leadership, you know, and I can talk for Pastor Choco, trying to address this, you know, straight up.
Well, I know he came in later. But there's things that, like, they said that they didn't know about the situation until it was too late. But it's not true. There's 2 emails that were sent to the national office, and I just feel like it's very dishonest to sit there and say we didn't know and we couldn't do anything about it, because it's not true. The bylaws don't exclude them from acting, and it's just from the perspective of people who were sexually assaulted. Watching this, that's it. All they're hearing is them not taking responsibility for it, and that's just, I mean, I just don't feel like as a fellowship we should be hurting people further that have already been hurt by
I'm in agreement with you.
Spending our time defending everything.
But I think, you know, what I'm going to say, I would say it to anybody. There's a place, you know, the floor could have been at the General Council, the place for some of these, if they're missionaries and ministers, to have gone up to the mic and ask questions. Or
they said the floor was, you know, closed during the report.
So, you know, or
I wasn't there, but they said that the floor was closed for the reporting, only for the resolutions.
Somebody did go up. Somebody did go up and question Chi Alpha.
Oh, perhaps later. I couldn't watch. I had stuff scheduled, so after the Donna Barrett presentation, I couldn't watch.
Donna Barrett, John Easter, and then Pastor Choco went up there. when he gave his report on the Chi Alpha, he mentioned something, and one of the Chi Alpha students got up and says, can you clarify that? What do you mean by this? And then it had to deal with, I think, a credentialing or something. Anyway, and so it was referred to. Hey, well, would this be something that you might want to talk in person? He goes, no, I know what it is, but I think the constituency here doesn't know why something was waived, or it had to deal with credentialing and some courses. So and Donna Barrett got up and said, well, that's a credentialing deal. I can answer that. But it was right after Pastor Choco. It was a question referred to or directed to Pastor Choco. I say that to say that, again, I didn't hear that it was closed, because if it was, then they wouldn't have let her go to the mic.
Okay. So that must have been a different time. So I watched a lot of the first business session that I couldn't watch the rest because they hadn't posted them.
But what I'm getting at is, like I said, a lot of this stuff predates me. And, they were not going to allow you to continue. And we worked through that. I stuck my neck out for you and all of that to try to get you to, okay, even from, coming from what you were really appointed to be an MA, just so that you could try to, anyway, etc. And so now, because you're under the cultural ministries, they're directing all of that. They don't know what are we going to do about this? And my response to those, because some of them are out of the office, some of them are on vacation. I go on vacation next, actually I start Saturday or Friday. But anyway, I said, the best thing for us to do is to bring Erica in. Let her respond to all of this.
But do they truly not feel like...
What was that?
Do they truly not feel like the national office had any responsibility in what happened? Because, this is what's frustrating to me. I was really hoping, because some of this stuff, from an observer's point of view, has been extremely discouraging, because it's not me putting it in the headlines. It's there whether I speak about it or not. This stuff's in the headlines, and people are watching for a response, and they're watching for the right response, and what they're hearing is Donna Barrett say that...
I got blasted just for our booth.
Yeah, I saw that.
I could care less, to be honest with you.
But that's
as a matter of fact,
it's a little different.
I wanted them to come to the booth. I wanted those people to come to the booth, because I could say, you know what? Why don't you tell our missionary right here that's ministering to them, why don't you tell them what you feel and let them respond to you, because they're out reaching them. What are you doing?
But there's a difference between, details of a booth and a public...
What I'm saying is that Facebook, sadly to say, becomes a platform that you use, that you blast everybody on, and it's just a platform for people that really either don't want to do things biblically, because if I want to do a mine, nobody came to me and said, hey, JR, we've been having issues with these names or whatever from the past. You're the new director. Is there any way that maybe you... No, it's none of that. It's not biblical. Hey, go speak to the person, about it. And if they don't, no. Let's put it on their house.
There is no...
Exotic. It's otherism. It's, come on. Give me a break. Grow up.
There is no... This was a public scandal, and it's made public news. And whatever our leaders do reflects on the whole organization.
Exactly. And with that statement that you made, do you want to be under an organization like that you don't even trust the leadership and whatever?
But this is where I'm getting to. That whatever they do reflects. If they're up there denying responsibility for this, and there's students out there that are still hurting and reeling from everything that's happened, and they're up there denying that the national office knew and that they could have done anything, when it's out there, the evidence is out there. If they're up there denying that, and I'm part of the organization, and I'm quiet about that, then I'm partly to blame for the perception that AG ministers don't care about the people that were abused. Because, there's just been a lot of defending themselves and very little... They'll say, we're sorry you're hurt, but that's not a real apology. Sorry that we failed you is a real apology. There was failures that went all the way to the top, and I don't hate those people. I don't even want them. I'm not even out there campaigning to get people out of office. That's not the point. But somebody needs to step up and do the right thing and apologize for the role of that was played, ignoring the pleas of the people trying to get this guy out of there, and nobody will do that. And I know there's probably legal concerns, but if we're talking about doing things we're talking about doing things biblically, what trumps
No. I mean,
that?
This is the way I see it. You have what's grace and you have the law. Grace is biblically, hey, I'm sorry I did the whatever, and admit to that, okay? And if grace is not the issue, then it's the law. And the law was brought in. The law was brought in to review these cases. Now, I can't speak for Donna, I can't speak for Pastor Doug, I can't speak for anybody up there because I just came in a year ago. But I do have concerns that if I'm going to stick my neck out for anybody, I don't want my neck to be cut off by the person I'm trying to let somebody else. I'll take the bullet for you, but I'm not going to take the bullet if you're going to shoot at me. That'd be suicidal for me. You know, I'd rather take the bullet for you so you can accomplish what God's called you to do than to go ahead and take your bullet from the person that I'm trying. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. I feel that we did so many things to try to get you back on, and I don't have Facebook. I get bombarded and saying, what are we going to do with this? If she's not happy with the leadership of the Assemblies of God, then, you know, does she still want to be with that? You know?
I think our whole fellowship is at a point right now where we all need to help redefine how we respond to people when abuses happen, and the response is wrong.
Yeah.
And that's just, and to say like we can't speak out, okay, but when there's been NDAs used and there's been things used to silence people all along the way.
Come as a person and deal with the individual that
is
responsible.
Nobody is going to sit there and change their mind because I talk to them.
Well, to be honest with you, the elections...
People have been trying.
Yeah,
people have tried.
The elections say everything. Pastor Doug got it on the first round. Pastor,
but do you know how many people have commented on the post about, and I did not post initially. I did not share the article initially that was shared in the Assembly of God Ministers group. Somebody else did that. But do you know how many people have said it was the first they heard about it? They hadn't even heard about it. People didn't even know what was going on because it's been kept so quiet. And I get nobody wanting to publicize that about their organization, but at least then...
But again, it's like even... what's his name? Grant put on there. Some of this stuff was confidential. How it leaked out, you always have those. You always have that in any organization, whether it's Christian or not, whether you're in a church or not, whether you're in your district. You always have somebody. I've been a pastor, and I've had people from my board all of a sudden leak things out, and we had to deal with it. Hey, this is confidential about this individual being in a moral situation, whatever. Not for the whole church to know. It's something that's dealt in private to try to keep the dignity of whatever.
Well, yes, okay. But when the failure was public, there needs to be a public apology, and there's not. There's only been, we're sorry you were hurt by this other guy.
I get that, and probably also because, you went through some of that. My question is, with the way you see the organization, is this something that you really want to be part of? And that's the question.
Well, honestly, I'm hoping for change. I'm hoping that people put things in place so that there's accountability in the future, so there's not more scandals and there's not more abuse. But at every corner, all I'm seeing is excuses and people trying to hide and silence those who speak up.
In my situation, or not situation, in my post, my role as the National Director for Intercultural Ministries, that's the lane I have to stay in, okay? And that's why I'm, again, when I'm getting the post, sent to me from somebody from Intercultural Ministries, then I have to respond to that, and I don't know how to. That's why.
Was this person also in our private group?
The what?
In our private group, Redemption for...
It was from the leadership.
Missionaries?
AGUSM leadership.
Oh, so just about the 𝐶ℎ 𝐴𝑙𝑝ℎ𝑎 post, not about the mission stuff.
No, I heard, and I got a lot of the posts from Grant, from some of the Chi Alpha, the NBC. Those things were all sent.
Did they send you my story?
They sent me two. I didn't read one because I was told this was posted by Erica. Yeah, I don't have Facebook. And then they sent me the last one that has you saying, you know, it's like what 𝑒𝑥𝑢𝑠𝑒-𝑙𝑒𝑠 or something, the leadership of the Assemblies of God, etc., etc. And so that's the one that they said.
What I posted was an apology to the students because I know they're watching this.
You did say.
They're watching this and they're waiting for that apology, and that apology is not coming from anyone that actually
and I appreciate
should be giving that.
Okay. And I appreciate you doing that, Erica. I appreciate that. But when you put the leadership of the Assemblies of God and you throw them under the bus, that's where the question comes up. Erica, is this really a place that you want to be in? I said, you know what? That's why I think maybe Erica needs to come into the USMEC. You guys ask them all the questions. Here's the post.
Do you want...
She can. You know? And let her answer that. And whatever she answers, whatever this committee feels, then, because I don't have those answers. If Erica posted it, Erica then needs to be responsible then to answer why the statements, why this statement, why this and why this one. I get that you know, hey, you know.
I mean, I already heard their end of it from they gave 30-minute speech on why they thought that the national office wasn't responsible.
Right.
But
I'm not talking,
it's ridiculous because they did know.
The USMEC. I'm not talking about Pastor Doug. I'm not talking about Donna Barrett. I'm not talking about Rick Ross. I'm not talking about not even John Easter. I'm not even talking, you know, of any of them. I'm talking about AGUSM that wants to know why would she post that? Is she really want to be part of the Assemblies of God or not? Because the post that she has, she's apparently upset with the Assemblies of God and their leadership. And
I mean, this is...
If you want to do that, we are under that leadership.
We're talking about a sexual abuse scandal where like 6 men now, I don't know how many, have been arrested. And how many dozens of students have been affected by this? Probably hundreds when it comes to the overreaching impact.
And I wouldn't doubt those numbers.
So I don't think that it's fair to say that just because somebody's passionate about seeing this situation handled right by their fellowship, that means they don't want to be part of the fellowship. I think there's a point where, as ministers, even if though we're not the ones with the title and the leader title, I think we need to be able to call for changes and to be called for stuff like this to be handled well.
Everything you're telling me, I think, is what you need to tell the USMEC. I can't answer for you, Erica. The only thing I did was to try to pave a bridge when they said, when the consensus was that maybe Erica should be a U.S. missionary. Okay? When that was the consensus, I said, this is intercultural ministry. Let's give her a chance. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can, you know. And so they allowed me to do that. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I stick my neck out, but when that comes up and what you said about the leadership, that's you cutting my neck. And that's why I refer to myself.
I mean, I was not referring to you or anybody else on U.S. missions in that post. I'm talking about...
Those are the things that only you can answer. I can't. I don't know who you're directing. You're saying the Assemblies of God leadership. Well, which ones? Are you talking about Pastor Doug? Are you Pastor Donna?
I mean, has anybody given...
You know?
Has anybody given a genuine apology and taken responsibility without the excuses of we didn't know or we couldn't have done anything? Because neither of those things were true. There's emails showing that they knew.
And maybe Pastor Choco would be, since he's AGUSM now, part of the ELT, maybe he'd be the one that can give you an answer. That it would satisfy you or not, I don't know.
Well, and Pastor Choco wasn't the one involved here, but you know, there's emails showing that Donna Barrett and Doug Clay were made aware of the situation back in 2018 and 2019, and they both stood up there and told everybody that they didn't know about it until it was too late and there was nothing they could do. But that's not what the email said. In the emails they said,
according to John, or what's his name, Grant, according to him, he gives a timeline. he gives a timeline that it was given to Pastor Doug. Pastor Doug gave it to Brother Greg Mundis. Yeah, to Greg Mundis. Greg Mundis then handed it over.
Oh no, I'm not talking about the AGWM situation. I was talking about my post, which was about the 𝐶ℎ 𝐴𝑙𝑝ℎ𝑎 situation.
Yeah, that I am more blinded to that. Like I said, there I wouldn't be able to say anything. That's why.
But what I'm saying is that the world is watching for the response of our organization, and they stood up there and denied that they had knowledge in time or could have done anything, but the emails were in time, and the response was, we have too many ministers and churches to worry about this, and we trust lower level leadership to handle it. Now, I get that nobody wanted students to be hurt there, but that was still something that should have been followed through on. And I don't blame them. Obviously, nobody wanted students to be molested, but there's still a point where somebody has to stand up and say, we're sorry we failed and we should have done more, and nobody will do that.
Now Pastor Choco, I also falls under him. Maybe with your responses, he might be able to give you or get answers. I don't know. I just know that 𝐶ℎ is under AGUSM, and I know that Pastor Choco has taken a lot of heat, not because he was part of that when that happened, but because he's now, the executive director for AGUSM. So I just want to bring resolution to this. I want them to hear your heart. I want them to feel, and I want them to know that regardless of what has happened, there's needs changes or whatever, are you still wanting to be part of this organization or not? And if you're going to have the doubts on the leadership that we're submitted to, that's where you need to let them know. I can't answer for you. I don't want to answer for you.
I don't think that it's unhealthy to doubt when people are mishandling a sexual abuse case. This is, you're talking about submitting, and there's a difference, though, between submitting and then also making yourself culpable because you're also a minister in this organization, and if you turn a blind eye while they're mistreating victims and while they're lying about the situation, then to some degree we're all culpable because we're all letting it happen because we're just deciding, leadership spoke, we just have to.
And this is where you need to come in. Like I said, Pastor Choco, the executive director of AGUSM, 𝐶ℎ is under it. And maybe you're the one that needs to ask him, in that meeting and say, Pastor Choco, this is what's going on, Are you going to be there? And see what he answers.
I mean, I don't
know what he answers, then you can make a decision whether you want to continue being.
Well, Pastor Choco isn't the one that was there for that, but.
Well, but he's the one that's here now. I think you would want to know as well, where do you stand on this? And if you can believe what he says, then great. If you can't believe what he says, then
I think I just want to know that, when I was a missionary associate on a Live Dead team, if anybody had come to me with a grievance, it was always emphasized, take full responsibility, don't make excuses, apologize without excuses. From the lower level, that's all expected. But can our leaders do that? Because I didn't hear that from Doug Clay or from Donna Barrett. They sat there and defended the national office, but they're the ones whose names are on the email. I think a lot of people were just hoping, watching this general council, hopeful that this would be a situation where they could make it right. They could at least say, we're sorry for our part. We're sorry for we didn't respond quicker or better. And I know maybe there's legal concerns there, but it's still the biblical thing to do when the world's watching and your organization just keeps denying and denying and denying that there's problems, but there's evidence that there was problems. I mean, this isn't it's not a game. This isn't just the colored carpet at a church that I'm disagreeing over. Kids were molested. And somebody has to stand up and say that's not okay on any level. And it wasn't okay that those emails were ignored.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I can't respond for that. But I do know that they want to respond from you, and I couldn't answer that, as I can't answer for Erica. Okay? And if she made those comments, then she would be the one that would have to respond to why she made those comments and, why she said what she said, and feel from her whether, she's a fit for this new, season now with Pastor Choco and everything else, or...
So, I guess what's a fit is a fit to them, someone that just agrees and goes along with everything, even if it means handling sexual abuse cases wrong. Like, that's... Because what point can voting members of the AG actually stand up and give their own opinion on something that's already become a public scandal? This isn't something that I'm making a public scandal. It was already public.
Oh, yeah, I get you. And I'm coming into something that predates me, But, I can't deal with the past. I can only, like I told our missionaries, I can only deal and I can only respond to what I have said, to what I have done. I can't speak for Pastor Doug, Donna. I can't speak for anybody else. I can't, to a certain degree, I can't even speak, of course, parents are upset. Again, when I use the word fit, that's my word to say, no, you don't have to be a quote-unquote company man that, you have to agree with everything. I don't. That's why you take things to the floor. That's why the House votes. I could vote no, but if they voted yes and outnumbered the no's, hey.
This isn't about the vote, though.
Well, no, I'm talking about when you talk about, say, that it's a fit, that you said, does that mean that then I have to agree with everything? That's what I'm referring to. No, you don't have to agree with anything. And I voted for some things that I wouldn't agree with, in certain resolutions. But the vote won. So what does that mean? That means that, okay, that's going to become the standard. In other words, I'm not saying that you have to agree with everything. No, but there are some things we need to comply, and there are some things I think that we need to try and hold up. And if I don't believe in the leadership, maybe then I don't believe in its system, and so why would I want to be part of that? An organization that maybe is all, excuse my language, that in my perceptive or whatever, I feel it's all screwed up. Why would I want to be in something like that? The AG is not the only organization out there. It's not the only one sending missionaries. It's not the only one winning the lost. The AG, for all I know, could be the thumb, could be the pinky, part of the body, and who knows, maybe the Baptists are.
See, I think this is sort of a part of the issue, though, because yes, we have leadership that's elected to positions, but that isn't supposed to mean that those that are part of the greater voting body can't have a say either. And this isn't. That's what the floor was for. This isn't. Even if the rest of your organization doesn't respond right to something, you should still be able to respond right. And that's
either way. I get it. You man up or you woman up for what you're responsible for.
And this is what I'm saying is people aren't doing that, and they're not going to.
I can't speak for them. They gave a statement, whether people believed it or not. Hey, it's a statement that was made, okay, and whether if you believe it, you're more at peace. Doesn't mean that people didn't get hurt. No, people are probably still hurting. Okay? There's no doubt when they go through all of that. But the question that you're going to have to ask is, do I want to be part of this or not?
So you're saying that if people got up there and completely blew it and lied and everything, there's no place to call that out?
The floor would have been the place to call that out.
No, I wasn't there in person.
Okay. So the floor is a place to call it out, number one. Number two, they had legal representation that was on that stage, the process that they gave. And again, you come back to, are they telling the truth? No. Okay, they're not telling the truth. Do you want to be part of something like that? Or they gave the statements, people did get offended, people did get hurt, people did get scarred, but the process that was explained is one that I believe, so I'll continue with this. It's based on the leadership statements that you either go or don't go. It's either on that, just like in the church. If I don't trust the pastor, I go to another church.
I don't think it's always either or, though. I think there is a point where we can advocate for change, and there is. I know because of my own experience as well. Currently, AG is not handling any kind of alleged abuse and mistreatment well. And that doesn't mean that I've given up on the whole organization, because I do believe that if people are made aware of it, that they can bring change. But there has to be a point where it's allowed to be talked about. And that's the problem, is because we don't allow it to be talked about.
Yeah,
and it can't change.
The deal is that we want to be, and I'm not condoning it, I'm saying the deal is that I want to be heard. You know, I want to be the one, and there's different, I guess, ways or channels on how these things are being investigated, whatever, and you know, I want to be heard, but there's a process. The process may speak, okay? The thing is that people did speak, people did give their stories, and the report that was given to us was, hey, we went through all these steps. We went through all these steps, you know, and had the legal people, you know. I don't know if any of these missionaries sued or not. I have no idea on that.
Oh, I've only been talking about the Chi Alpha situation, not about the AGWM situation.
That's what I'm saying. Even I'm talking about the Chi Alpha, since there was child or there was molestation, rape, or whatever. I don't, you know. I know that there were some legal implications, but like what I'm saying is, I don't know if the students or the parents or, you know, even these individuals that were abused, whatever, you know, took that to court or whatever. I don't know. I just know that there were some legal implications. I'm just saying, this is the outcome. This is what was given. Am I satisfied with that enough to say these are my leaders, or I'm not satisfied and I wouldn't want them and I wouldn't be able to say that they're my leaders? You know, just like I'm going to go back as a superintendent, I'm going to go back as a former superintendent, as a pastor that I still am. Okay? That when individuals do not longer have trust in the leadership, my first thing is, you might need to want to look for another church. How am I going to be able to minister to you if first you don't trust me?
I mean, if a lot of individuals are losing trust in leadership, though, doesn't the leadership also want to know why and want to fix that?
Right, and that would be up to those individuals to send those emails and respond. I don't think they're going to put a response publicly and say, oh, this is the way you have. If we felt we did what we needed to do was right, then if you have an issue, you know, again, I'm talking as a superintendent and a former superintendent.
You know, it can all happen behind closed doors, but here's the thing with that. You can do everything behind closed doors, but the students, the fallout from what happened, those students are never going to see what happens behind closed doors. Even if they reached out to to all the victims that made allegations, even if they reached out to all of them, what about all the others that saw what went down and that left Chi Alpha and left the church and possibly left their faith because of what they saw and what they witnessed in that program? Those students will never know if we just quietly make amends behind closed doors. And yeah, legal reasons stop them from saying we paid this victim this much money, but they can still issue a public response and a public apology that doesn't include just defending the AG and claiming that the AG didn't know about things.
I think what you're asking is for something to be put on Facebook, a public response, because...
It doesn't have to be on Facebook, but even general counsel, people can watch that and they can see what's being said.
They said that they were sorry for all those that were hurt.
But that's different. Saying that we're sorry you're hurt.
Yeah, I don't know what else, you know, for that.
Because saying I'm sorry you were hurt is totally different from saying I'm sorry we failed. Because that's what I'm saying is there's no, like, nobody's publicly taken responsibility for anything that's happened. And I get there's the legal side, but there's also, we want to say we'll handle it the biblical way, but should the legal side of things stop people from still doing the biblical thing and doing what they can to lessen the damages that were done? I mean, like any organization, it can happen in the secular world. It can happen, it's happened at public schools. There's been scandals, and you know, at some point, usually whoever the leader or the chief is comes out and says, I'm sorry, I failed. I should have done more. I should have responded to the concerns that were presented, and I didn't. And nobody in the whole organization has really done that yet. The most they've said is, we're sorry you got hurt, and that's not an apology.
Okay, so with everything that you've said, Erica, again, my question goes back to the beginning. Is this an organization that you want to be part of? I'm sorry I can't speak for Pastor Doug. I'm sorry I can't speak for Pastor Donna and everything else that happened and all those people that you would want them to say exactly what you told me they should have said. I can't speak for them. And I sure can't go there and say, you need to say this. No, I can't. That's what was said. And the question comes back. If that's the leadership that is there right now, is that an organization that you would want to be able to be part of? Because they're your leaders. They're leaders.
They're leaders, but the Assemblies of God is much bigger than just a couple of leaders. The Assemblies of God is a network, and within that network, there are a lot of amazing people, and I think that some of those amazing people can help bring the necessary changes.
Okay, but they haven't yet. They haven't yet.
No, and they can't if they're never allowed to discuss it.
Well, it's not just like you said, those are the four. You have a general presbytery, over 400, 300 and some people. You have the executive leadership, or the EP, executive presbytery. Okay, so by you saying that nothing was ever done or whatever, then that abolishes all of us. The GP, it abolishes the executive presbytery.
I mean, I didn't say nothing was ever done. I said no apology was made.
Okay, well, again, and we go
no
back to the
real
thing.
apology without.
Okay, so would you still want to be part of an organization when your leaders, in quotations, can't and won't say the apology that is needed to these people, the victims? Would you still want to be part of that organization?
I think as long as there's hope for change.
Well, there'll always be hope for change. We've been here for 100 and some years, the Assemblies of God, and we've seen many transitions and many evolution take place in a lot of the things. Okay? But going back, I have to respond. I said, I can't respond. I'm not going to respond to it. I didn't write that text or that post. It was Erica. So let Erica come in. You guys ask her the questions and let her respond. And according to what you guys feel, then you give an ultimatum of what? Because I can't respond for Erica. Okay? So that was basically, that's the whole thing. I can't respond for you. And everything you've told me, you have every right to say that, to voice that. Unfortunately, I'm not the person that has to hear that. I'm just the person that's saying, why is one of your coming to co-send missionaries posting and blasting the leadership of the Assemblies of God? Well, that doesn't make me look good in a sense, you know. Maybe dialogues. Again, I don't know. I just know in a nutshell that Chi Alpha had Daniel Zavala, who began to molest, to rape, to have sexual encounters with the students. I do know that some of the people that worked with him or that were allowing him were dismissed. I do know that stuff like that was made, and they're no longer in leadership.
But even a lot of that didn't happen until even there. Talk about timeline, and even a lot of that stuff didn't happen until it was brought to public view, and then it got them in trouble. And I
can say in this last year and a half, Pastor Choco and Alex have been at the forefront of this, and decisions have been made to remove people, and they were removed. And that's the only thing I can tell you from the year and a half that I've been here. Okay? And is there going to be change? I think so. At least in AGUSM, we've seen the change. Okay? But I think instead of...
But isn't a big part of change, if we're talking about repentance and turning away, isn't a big part of that recognizing the full extent of what was wrong to begin with?
Definitely.
And just getting the people out of there who were immediately responsible, but then continuing to say the organization had nothing to do with it, that's not repentance, and that's not hopeful for change.
If they didn't know after all these abuses, the only time they got my understanding is that they went into all of this and the legalities and all of that was when it was brought to their attention.
No, that's what they made it sound like from the front.
Well,
But they were. I can
speak for
send
them.
you the emails so you know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
But there were emails
Again,
in
I've heard
28.
a lot of emails, like I said.
You
know what?
think that there is anything that I could say to Donna Barrett and to Doug Clay that would have made them give a different response than what they gave up there?
I don't know.
I
I can't answer for
You know how
I
many
can't.
people have been calling on them to do the right thing already?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying,
Like I
is
said,
there's
I don't-
not, this isn't a personal conflict.
Yeah.
I'm not-
No.
I'm not bringing- This isn't like, I'm personally offended by you, so I'm going to make this public. This is a public response to a public scandal. And that's...
Well, I can't, like I said, I can't respond to that because I'm not in that scandal. I didn't handle it. I can't speak for Donna. I can't speak for, I just can hear what they said and take what they said. If they're my leaders, this is what they did. They went through this. They went through these channels. They went through legality, da 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 da. And this is what we tried to do, and da 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 da. And we are very sorry for those that were hurt. We grieve. We pray for them, et cetera, et cetera. That's the report that not everybody's going to get. But again, if you're going to go to the vote of the reality, Pastor Doug got it in his first round, which means that the majority of the people trust Pastor Doug. The majority of the people are okay with his leadership.
There was also a large majority of people that didn't even know about the Chi Alpha thing until it was presented after the vote. And now, again, I don't have a problem with Doug getting reelected. That's not at all the point for me. It's not about an individual leader getting them out of there or getting them punished. It's about whoever currently is in charge. Somebody needs to take responsibility and say that all that was given was excuses, like our bylaws didn't allow us to respond. But that's not true. Look at this situation. I mean, clearly they didn't just go to my Minnesota district and ask them to talk to me. I'm saying that, like, the national office can, if they know that a sex offender is working with students, they can respond. And they chose not to. They chose to trust. You talk about, like, trusting leaders, but that's the problem. They chose to trust. They said, we trust our district level leaders to take care of this. And then even a year later, when they got another email saying, hey, the situation hasn't been dealt with yet, the response at that point was, well, there haven't been negative reports of this guy, so the case closed. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I can't respond to that. I can't respond to that because, like I said, it predates me. I don't know. I have no awareness.
But we should know, and that's the problem. A lot of the ministers don't know, and so we're saying that, their votes proved that this person's a trustable person, and that we should just trust. Most people trust him, so I should just move on and be okay with that. But most people never knew the facts. Most people didn't even know what happened. Most people didn't know what the response was. Most people don't know that the national office received 2 emails in 2018 and 2019, long before the guy was arrested and it hit media. And most people don't know that. And if you talk about it, you're told you're gossiping. But this is part of the ongoing problem, even with the Live Dead stuff, even with the AGWM stuff. All these missionaries, this has been happening for probably 15 years, that people have been being mistreated. But anytime they tried to talk to someone higher up, they're referred back down to the lower levels, and they're told it's gossip, or they're told to trust, or they're told just be quiet about it and let God deal with that person. And then because they never spoke up, tons and tons of more people were hurt. And there's got to be a point where we stop hiding behind Matthew 18 or whatever, and we actually take action. And that's just...
I hear your heart, Erica. I do. But I still come back to the same question, because that's on my department and so forth. Are you happy being under this organization that you have? All I have heard up to now has been nothing good.
Well, I don't think that would be fair, because I've spent many, many years talking about all of the good. So when you finally come to...
I'm talking about in our conversation right now, and with General Counsel being over right now, I've not heard one thing that would say, wow, yeah, but you know what? The only good thing, let me take that back. The only good thing is that I believe there can be change if you have the right people there. And then I responded to that, but I guess we don't have the right people there then, because those people that are there got reelected. And so, again, with everything that you've said, again, I was called and said, how are we going to deal with this? I said, I don't know, because I can't respond for Erica. If she posted that you guys sent me and it's there and I read it, she's the only one that would be able to respond to that, not me.
It's just twisted, because people can go after the report on AGWM came up. After Dr. Grant posted that, these mega church pastors can go and publicly post their opinion, and they can refute what he's saying, and they can come to the defense of leadership and the program and the organization, and they're not going to get a call like this. They're going to be patted on the back for doing it. But if one person went and did
them, I'm not them, Erica. Okay, and I'm not the first time that I've told people, well, that's the way they've always been done, when I'm not the only.
But I'm saying that people are allowed to take to Facebook and publicly brag on and defend the actions of the organization and the leadership, but they're not allowed to go and make a public statement saying, I don't agree with this action. And they can do, they don't, I can't force them to change.
However you want to perceive it, you are allowed, and you did. The difference in my case is, this is JR. Number two, I felt I stuck my neck out for you, because the consensus was probably not for you to continue, because of some of the concerns that they had of your trip over there when you were, I believe it was in Africa. Okay? That's what we postponed.
I thought when we talked last time, you said they were excited to have me back.
Well, they were. They were excited because we got the report from some of the reports that you had to take. You had to meet with the the psychology test or whatever. We got the report back, and the report says, you know what? Yes, she's had some issues on this and this and that, but I think she's surpassed that, and so she is. I would recommend that she would be good. When we got that report, I brought it back. I'm the one that stalled it. I'm the one that says, hold it, please. Let's give her a chance on this. Okay? So definitely, when they say yes, when they gave us the report and affirmed to us that now AGWM was moving your account finances, not just yours, but others, now just the way we were doing it when they would go to AGWM. We were excited about that too. So we were ready for this co-send. It was the post that you put that brought back the doubts. Does she really want to be part of this organization? Does she really feel that, she can work here knowing that she is totally upset with the leadership that's over us? I said, I can't answer that.
This is the thing. I can't make,
she's the only one.
I can't force Pastor Doug Clay and Donna Barrett to go up there and do the right thing. Right. And apologize to these students and take responsibility for the organization. If I'm staying part of that organization, I personally feel, though, that, okay, that's fine if they don't give the right response. But until they do, I still want to show that, look, I know this organization that I work for isn't handling this right, and I don't condone that. And that's where I'm saying, like, I don't feel like I need to just be quiet or pat people on the back over this whole thing, when this reflects on all of us. How they handle this, when I go out there and say that I'm working with Assemblies of God and this is the thing that's been in the headlines, that reflects on me. That reflects on all of us. If I'm choosing to stay with Assembly of God, I feel like the best thing that I could do right now is to say, yeah, I'm staying with them, but I disapprove of the way they're mishandling this. And that's, I feel like, I don't know, I'm American, but sometimes I say I disagree with what the government does, because I feel like as an American, that's just because the government makes a bad choice, it doesn't have to reflect on me as an individual. And sometimes I can feel the need to speak up when our government makes bad choices, because as an American, I want people to know that just because...
I get it, we have the freedom of speech. I get that.
No, it's not about freedom of speech. It's about...
Do we do harm, or do we do better, or do we do more harm? Huh?
I think it's more harmful to continue denying responsibility when there's people watching and waiting for a response.
Erica. That's not your call. If they spoke in public, and they spoke and everything, and they said that, at the end of the day, yeah, let God deal with them if they're wrong. But you can't go be. I'm sorry to say, you're not going to be able to defend the national office more than they are. You're not going to be able to be a greater spokesman than they are.
I'm not trying to defend them.
Okay, but
If
what
I
I'm
was,
saying is, by you
if I,
stepping in a role, because you are, and I get it. You know, you want to defend. You went through some of that stuff, but just like you said, you know. I represent the Assemblies of God. Well, you represent U.S. missions, and right now, what you're saying about the leadership doesn't go hand in hand with U.S. missions. In the sense that,
I mean,
hey,
I
this
would.
is my organization. This is, but you know what? I hate. You didn't say hate, but this leadership just simply is not going to cut it. And I know you didn't say that. I'm paraphrasing, but what
I said was they didn't offer an excuseless apology, and I feel like that's true, because there was never an apology. There was only ever a, "I'm sorry you were hurt."
Yeah, you know, I get, you know.
I don't feel like I said anything untrue.
I'm not hurt by what your statements are. I'm disappointed. I am disappointed.
If something is that serious and that big of a deal and hurting that many people, there is a point where it's not resentment to call for it to be discussed and talked about, and it's not resentment to post your side of things and your opinion on it, because it's like I'm saying, this is already a public, it's in the news whether we want it to be or not, and I know people are trying to blow it up even bigger, and eyes are on Assembly of God right now. And for pastors to sit back and just say, well, you know, we trust our leadership. Well, that's what they did from the beginning, and that's why this guy wasn't stopped before it was too late. And that's where I'm saying that there's a difference. If I knew funds were being misused by a pastor or a district, and I brought that up, and they decided to just sweep it under the rug and retaliate, at that point, I mean, I don't know. I think there is a time where there's a responsibility to be that whistleblower and to let people know that, hey, this isn't right, and to call it out. And I think in Christian organizations, we tiptoe around that because we say, oh, that's not the biblical thing, or it's not the godly thing. But even in secular organizations, stuff like that will be called out. But we think we have to just be nice about everything because
no, we don't have to be nice.
Because it's a Christian organization, but that's not. God wouldn't want abuses to continue, and He wouldn't want lies to continue or misuse of funds to continue.
The biblical thing is, you go and speak to that individual. That's it. And if they don't hear you, take a witness. If they don't hear you with the witness, take it to the assembly.
But that's the point we're at. We're beyond that point, because the things already were brought to their attention. They've already been called out on it.
And it was taken to the assembly. Right?
Only from one point of view. I mean, this is the thing, is like, yeah, we have to be, I'm taking it to the assembly here. I mean, a lot of people still didn't even know what happened at that point at district council.
And a lot of people that aren't even ministers also got the whiff because of what we post on Facebook.
They are getting it anyways from NBC.
Well, regardless, let them get it from whatever, but don't be part of that. They didn't get it from me. You know?
Because
just to say, just to let you know, I don't even have Facebook, and I was bombarded with all these texts and all these screenshots.
Because if they're going to be reading this stuff, and if the people that represent you, it's the same, like, I mean, think about being in our country. If the people representing you were making statements to the world that were harmful, and you're talking with a foreign friend, I think it's right to say, hey, just so you know, I don't agree with that. And so if their actions are continuing to harm people,
Facebook is not even, again, I'm sorry to say, but to me, Facebook is more of the cowardly way to say something, because I can say it to whoever I want, whenever I want, and whether they're Christians, not Christians, part of my group, or if it's a public group, whatever it is. That's the way I can get.
I don't think it's cowardly when it comes to ministers, because we risk losing support, we risk losing our jobs, we risk a lot of stuff by posting on Facebook.
It's cowardly because I would rather I didn't even have time to respond. I wasn't even going to respond to the stupid emails, or to even again, I don't have Facebook, so but I did get some emails. You know what? I don't have time for that. If you can't come and say JR and give me a greeting and say, hey, but these are some of the things. I know you're coming in new. I'm not afraid to be told or to be taught. But you're going to come out here like I've been here for 30 years, and I intentionally am putting these things up when those things were given to us. Those names were given to us. Those groups were given to us.
But this isn't this. My approaching Doug and Donna Barrett, first of all, I don't know that I could even get a meeting with them if I wanted. But secondly, my approaching them.
Meeting with Pastor Choco and the executive team from U.S. Missions.
But my meeting with Donna Barrett and Doug Clay, I wouldn't be the first. It's different. You're talking about a situation, that's the first you're hearing of it. You didn't know people had a problem with it. And then all of a sudden people did. This is a totally different situation. They're well aware that people have problems with it.
What I'm trying to say with that is that, why put it on Facebook? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Because people are watching. I have a friend, in fact, one of the people that liked my post.
No,
he's a guy.
The person that wrote about intercultural ministries and me. I go, why put it on Facebook? If you're in general counsel, come to the booth and, hey, can I speak with JR? That's why I say it's cowardly, because you can put it and post it on everybody.
Well, you're talking about a situation that hasn't already been addressed.
I'm talking about that people will use Facebook because they're too coward to come and confront or to have a dialogue. It's easier for me to criticize, put it on Facebook, and let everybody, and I'm going to what you're saying, because they don't know the other side.
I think, though, when it comes to the abuses, that there's a bigger reason that it's going to Facebook.
Whether it's abuses, whatever.
When it comes to these abuses, the reason it's going to Facebook is because
all of it matters. How the perspective is, and the way I've seen Facebook when I did have it, there's always a one-sided story. And the bigger person is not going to use Facebook to come and say, well, this, and this. No, you know what? Let them say what they want to say. I know my convictions. I know what I did. I know what I didn't do. Okay? Now, again, going back to Doug and them, I can't speak for them. But you represent U.S. missions. And when you put a post that says, hey, I'm really not, in agreement, an excuseless, report, whatever, however you worded it, that puts the leadership, that in the sense that you don't even trust that leadership. That's the whole reason. I heard you out. I get it. That same thing would be the one that you would have to, I would say, you would need to just share with the USMEC and let them. This is Erica's heart.
Let me tell you something. One of the people that liked my post, they were a student. One of the people that liked my post, they were a student at that 𝐶ℎ 𝐴𝑙𝑝ℎ𝑎. And I don't know if he experienced anything or not himself personally, or if he just knew of it through other people. I don't know. I haven't asked his story or for him to share. But I see him. He was a friend on Facebook because he supported me for some monthly amount, because I was part of the mission week there at that same 𝐶ℎ 𝐴𝑙𝑝ℎ𝑎. And here's what I think. That post was for them. It's for the people that are watching how Christians are responding to this and seeing them come short every stinking time that they have a chance. And this post is for those people. It's not for anybody else. But there is no way to reach all those people by talking to Doug Clay behind closed doors. Because those people are out there, and all they can see is the public side of this. All they can see is the statements that are made. They don't they can't get a one-on. They can't all be reached out to by Assembly of God. That the reach of the impact that situation had went far beyond just the immediate victims.
Right, and let me use that what you said. The impact. They appreciated what you said, but they're not happy with it. Does that make sense?
I mean,
because what you said, it brought comfort to them, but they're not satisfied with that, whether you would have said it or not, because they want to hear it from the top. So whether you said yes, I love you, whatever, I am with you, whatever, they appreciate that, but that was your defending them was not enough for them to say, thank you, at least somebody got it. No, they want to hear from the top. And
I didn't defend anybody, I don't think. But
and that may never happen. They want Pastor Doug, they want Pastor, Donna Barrett. Will that ever happen? I don't know. And people will continue to feed that furnace. I'm thankful, Erica, that you gave me your support. But you know what? That's not what I want. I want to hear it from the top. So yours really is there for a moment, but it's not satisfying enough to say, you know what, at least we have Erica that said all this, and so thank you, Erica. You know what, we can put this at rest. It'll never be put at rest.
Oh, no, I know it's not going to put it to rest, but my goal isn't to put it to rest.
Well, I would want it to go to rest the right way, the way it needs to be, however it
right, is. But go to rest, but go to rest after it's correctly handled. And this is, but my goal isn't to put it to rest. I mean, honestly, this is something that, this isn't just even Assembly of God. In general, the church is notorious for handling allegations wrongly and for responding to things like this poorly and hurting people in the process. And you
have more info than I do. I can tell you that, because the way you're speaking, you have more info than I do. All I'm coming back,
but that's
circling around.
This is the problem: is we're people don't have the info, and because of that, it looks like the whole organization. It looks like the whole organization and all the ministers are just okay with it all. And
I just, I think, like I said, they told me, what are we going to do? Erica's statement here, apparently she is not in agreement, and I get it. You don't have to be in agreement, but I'm not going to blast my leadership. I'm not going to go blast. For example, if I had not voted for Pastor Doug, let's just say I didn't vote for him, why am I going to, blast it on Facebook? There's just some things that there's nothing that I know I can do. Even JR, as the national director, I could talk to Pastor Doug. I could go and talk to Pastor Donna. The first person I would need to talk to is Pastor Choco as my leader, and say, hey, what, That may not change anything of what the results were as far as how it was handled or anything. And so my job is to try and bring peace when I can. And try to, if I'm not in agreement, here's one of the things. If Pastor Choco would have not come out, and I'll tell you this, would have not come out as executive director, my next conversation would have been with the new one. And I would have said, this is the arrangement that I have. This is the thing. What's your vision? Tell me your vision. Because if I'm not going to be able to run with your vision, I'm not going to be a pebble in your shoe. I'd be the first one to say, I'm not caught up with the position or caught up with this job. Okay, I'm here because I felt God brought me here. But if this is now your vision and I can't run with it, you know what? Hey, you need to get somebody to run with your vision, and I'm okay to stepping out.
I think, though, that a healthy organization can look beyond that. They wouldn't necessarily want, in situations that are this serious, they shouldn't want every single person who is in disagreement to step out. They should want people that are going to work for change and that are going to call for accountability.
I said I would go and talk to this individual that came in. I'm not saying, hey, you got to boot everybody out because you don't want them, you want your staff. No, I don't think that's either.
If talking to individuals, though, would fix this, it'd be fixed already, because a lot of people...
And I can't, we're talking hypothetically in some things because we don't know, really. That's what we would want, Erica. That's what I would want. I would. But like I said, we come back to and we've gone around in circles and stuff, but at the end of the day...
There's been a lot of people calling on Assembly of God to handle this well. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying is, add your voice to the mix and then disappear. Like, that's not going to do it. Like,
that's what I'm saying. With all of this, like I said, everything that you said, is this still... I just want you to be... To know really, and everything you've told me, then you know it better than I do. You know exactly what you're getting into. Okay, I've been in it for 1.5 years. You know what you're getting into, and my question is that something that you still want to continue to do with a leadership that you feel shouldn't probably even be there? Because if they're not doing and handling things right, if they're not doing what you feel needs to be done,
I never said they shouldn't be there. I am saying that there should be our organization, and I say our even. When I've been talking to people, I even say us, we. Yeah. I'm not even denying.
I would say they shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
If I have your concept of that leadership, if that was JR thinking, knowing, and feeling everything you would, I don't have a problem saying they shouldn't be there. Simple as that. Just like I don't have a problem telling some of our leaders that I am over, and some of our missionaries saying, you know what, you were reaching the Muslims, now you're in Sunday school. You've been for the past 5 years teaching a Sunday school on a mission. You shouldn't be there.
This isn't. Here's the thing. That's not even where I'm going with what I'm saying here, though. What I'm saying is that we, as an organization, still need to respond to these situations correctly. And it doesn't matter. I can delete everything that I've posted.
I don't need for you. No.
And it's going to show up. It's going to show up again.
Deleted even what they said about us in intercultural.
It's going to show up because it's on NBC, and there's people that are pushing to make it even bigger than that. It's going to show up again.
If you say we, you're not the person that's going to fix it. You're not the person that, with your statement, that's, oh, wow, Erica's statement really brought a dent, and really, it's not going to, even if I put something out there, there's just some things that are not, we don't carry enough weight to make that change by ourselves.
Which is exactly why it's gone to Facebook, which is why it's gone to NBC, because it's left people feeling that the only recourse, it has left people feeling that the only recourse is to take it publicly.
And you think, and what has it really done? What did it do? It did nothing. What Grant put up before General Counsel, what NBC put up about Chi Alpha.
What Grant put up before General Counsel made a lot of people realize they weren't alone.
Yeah, and again, what really did it do? What did it do? Nothing. It didn't do anything. It just
That's not true.
Talking about people, but it didn't. I'm talking about the outcomes.
It got a lot of people support that didn't have support before, that thought that they were the only ones that had experienced these things.
I'm just saying that that's not what you wanted. You already told me we wanted a public apology. However,
no. I was referring specifically to the Chi Alpha situation, and I'm not saying that had nothing to do with Grant's post. I'm talking specifically about the Chi Alpha situation, and I'm saying that people are watching and there hasn't been a public apology. I'm not saying that that was even the purpose of the post to call for one. The whole purpose of my post was simply to say that, hey, you know what? My organization is choosing to handle this very, very poorly, but I get it, and I'm not okay with it, and I'm sorry. That's the purpose of my post here. And to call for people to handle things better in the future. That's it. Now, Dr. Grant's post, I can't speak for that. I can't say that that was wanting a public apology. Actually, I think a lot of it is honestly to bring support to missionaries who have been experiencing this, because there's dozens and dozens of them. And so this is, and a lot of people thought they were the only ones, and they were suffering in silence, so to speak, because they didn't have support, and they didn't know that other people had gone through it too.
Would you be able to, again, I'm coming back.
But I can't speak for that one because I didn't create that group.
No, and I'm not asking you to speak for that. I'm coming all the way back. I heard your heart. You heard mine. My question to you would be, would you be able to respond to the U.S. MEC, the U.S. Missions Executive Committee on your posts that are questioning, as well as me, hey, with everything that you posted, are you really sure you want to be part of this organization with this type of a leadership? Because apparently the leadership is not something, and I get it, but I can't change that for you. Elections came at General Council, that was not changed. So you're stuck with the same leaders that you feel so harshly, that are not doing their job, that that are hiding, that are lying, that about all these cases, that happened with Chi Alpha. Like I said, it predates me, so I have, do I hurt for them? Yes, just like a pastor would hurt, and just like a former superintendent would hurt if any of our ministers or any people in the church were abused. But again, the question is, with everything that you said, with leadership that is lying, leadership that is putting things under the rug, leadership that cannot give, why would you want to be a U.S. missionary under that leadership?
Because I don't think that our organization is defined solely by our leadership. I think that there's thousands of ministers out there, and that the majority of them do the right things. So I think that it's okay to call out the disagreements with leadership and to still love being part of the organization. And I think it's okay to want change. And when it's something this serious...
I'm just giving you a heads up. That's what you're going to have to explain to them. Because I don't have those answers, you do. Okay? I don't have those answers.
I mean, it's just...
My response to them was, I stuck my neck out because the consensus was that maybe because of whatever had happened in Africa and all that you went through, at first, hey, I don't think, I put the stop on that. And I stuck my neck out. Remember, I told you, we're going to do this 6 months. We're going to try to just make sure that you're doing, I put my neck out on there. I feel, Erica, that my neck was chopped. Like I said, I don't mind it getting chopped by somebody else that I'm sticking it out for, so that they can proceed, they can be successful in whatever they're doing. But I don't like to feel that my neck was chopped off by the same person that I was trying to give time and give the opportunity to be reconsidered to be part of, AGUSM. So when they ask me that, or when they text me all that stuff, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why she would say that. I would need to talk to her, and I may not even be able to explain it the way she does. She may need to we may need to just let her come in and talk to the committee, and let the committee decide what, where her heart's at. Because for me, just reading the post on that, it's like, why would that even me, Erica, even me, why would I want to be under a leadership? I would be that. If I had that same feelings that you do, maybe because you know more, I don't know all that, but if I had the same feelings that you did, everything you've expressed to me, I'd be the first one to be looking for another organization, to be Church of God, Holy Pentecostal, whatever. There's other organizations.
But I mean, isn't there another side of this? Like, shouldn't the organization also value its ministers? And when a minister is in that place where leadership leaves them doubting because leadership is handling stuff so poorly, isn't there another side of this, though? Like, isn't there the side that says, shouldn't they... I mean, there's not really two sides when it comes to abuse, but I mean, I'm saying when it comes to like abuse and taking responsibility for failures, I don't feel like it's like, oh well, I just don't feel like that's the point to be. That's the part where you say, well, there's two sides of the story, but it's like, I mean, the side is out there, but they're not forthcoming with it. The emails are out there, but they never bring those up. They hide those when they're talking. They don't give the full picture when they're talking. But I mean, if that's making ministers get to the point where they're doubting if they want to be part of the organization, instead of the organization saying like, okay, hey, well, if you don't like it, just leave, wouldn't a healthy organization be concerned about the turnover and want to know what they could do better?
Oh, definitely. I do that as a church. when the individual says we're leaving, I go, it has to do something with me? No. Can you tell me so that the next person that wants to leave may leave for something different, but it's not going to be for the same reason? Can you tell me what that reason is? If I can fix it, we fix it. If it's something that unfortunately, maybe it's a doctrinal issue, then yeah, you might need to go find another church. But I don't want the same individual, or if the next person that wants to leave the church, leave for that same reason. At least be kind enough to tell me the reason why you're leaving, so if we can fix it, we can fix it. They may leave for another reason, but it's not going to be for this one, because we're going to fix it, you know? So,
but it sounds to me like you're saying that if I feel like they didn't handle this situation well, which I don't,
no,
then in that case, I shouldn't have a reason to stay with the organization. And I feel like there's a lot of other reasons, even though they botched this.
Then post those reasons.
They wouldn't like my posts because my post would be the dozens and dozens of ministers that have private messaged me to say that they understand.
If there's good reasons to stay, then fine. I didn't like the excuseless remarks that they made, whatever. But because of this, and this, that's why I choose to stay in this organization. We continue to pray that it would, God will move and we move forward to greater things. Then I get it. But just to say this, and when I'm asking.
But you're asking me now to go and make excuses for the organization. You're asking me to say, "Oh, they did this wrong.
There's other reasons.
They did this wrong, but here's the good thing." And that's what I'm saying is when you make an apology or when you make a statement that you're not in agreement with how something's handled, it shouldn't have to be sandwiched between. But here's the good stuff.
Well, I think sometimes you do. Ability more against anything.
I don't think you do when it's something as serious as this. I think this isn't the time to soften it and to say,
no,
"Oh."
I'm not saying that. I'm asking you. This was would you want to be?
You're cutting out. I'm sorry.
Yes. I said, with everything that you said, would you be? And you're the one saying, well, there's other good things. Well, then how come those good things aren't posted?
Those good things are all of the people that have messaged me behind the scenes saying they see the problem and they don't know what to do about it, but because they're in my position where they don't have authority and they don't have that leadership position, but they also see the problem and they also want to bring change. And there's a lot of people that want change.
And even though I'm the national director, I don't have that influence either to be able to say, well, I don't. Okay, I just want to make sure, because and here's another Pastor Choco's over intercultural ministry. That's under 𝐴𝑔-𝑢𝑠-𝑚. So how are you going to feel knowing that the executive director of 𝐴𝑔-𝑢𝑠-𝑚 is over 𝐶ℎ 𝐴𝑙𝑝ℎ𝑎 and it's not resolved to yours or everybody else's, even the victims of how they wanted it? Now it's in Pastor Choco's hands. How are you going to feel?
I mean, they brought Pastor Choco in after the fact.
Too, but he's now. It doesn't matter.
Pastor Choco was brought in after the fact, and it's always hard for the people that are brought in after the fact. But Pastor Doug Clay and Donna Barrett were not brought in after the fact. They were copied on. They were part of the initial response. They were part of all of that, and so I don't have a problem working with Choco. They brought him in. They brought him in to fix it or to take over after things went bad, and I get that. But just because they put a few new faces in, it doesn't mean that they should be able to escape taking responsibility as an organization. And that's the problem here. Is there?
I hear you.
It's a lot of cover up and a lot of sweep under the rug. Get rid of a few people and sweep it under the rug.
If you're not going to give me a chance to do it, if you're not going to give me a chance to come in, if you wanted me, I'm talking about JR, to fix something in a year and a half when maybe these problems and all these names have been on there for 10 years, don't expect me, what you've been dealing with in 10 years, to all of a sudden expect me in a year and a half to do away with it. Give me some time to fix it. I'm saying that as well for Pastor Choco. because Pastor Choco's coming in.
Well, I understand that for Pastor Choco, but he wasn't the one that was.
That's what you need to. And that's
he wasn't the one that was up there defending the actions of the national office. That was Doug Clay and Donna Barrett who were up there, and there's no one higher than them to go to. I mean,
right. But going back, if you can post something the way you did about the leadership, you could have said, "But thank God we have a new executive director in AGUSM, Pastor Choco, who I'm aware of has been." I'm adding that because I don't know if you were aware.
I don't. I mean, I don't.
Facing this, he has been facing this from get-go that he came in, dealing with the Chi Alpha, removing the leadership on some of the campuses, closing. Whether you know or not, he closed a Chi Alpha in one of the campuses or one of the universities. Closed it totally.
Yeah, I'm aware that some of that happened, but this is still like you're looking.
I get it,
he was brought in to clean up after the fact, but there's still people.
Give him credit for the cleanup.
That there's still people there.
You know, that's like me saying, "Hey, you know, the poop that was."
But everybody, like even a secular business, like.
I cleaned it up. I used Oxio or whatever, and some of the stain is still there. But guess what? The mess is cleaning up.
So even like, let's say Delta Airlines was caught in a massive financial scandal. Somebody's gonna come in and clean it up afterwards. They have to, or the company goes to pieces. Somebody's gonna come in and clean up afterwards. But usually, whoever the current CEO is, whoever the current,
we don't get the credit for the cleanup.
But whoever the person was that was there when it happened, when it went down, typically they still stand up and say, "We failed. We shouldn't have allowed this. We're sorry for our role," and not just try to move on to cleanup with ever acknowledging the role.
Having to say, not everybody is the way we would want them to be. I just want to know that you still want to be in this organization, that you still feel a heart to work in this organization, that you can trust, in this case, Pastor Choco, who is now the executive director of U.S. Missions, and that you can trust him despite of what you don't trust on the higher end of the totem pole.
I don't have a reason to distrust at this point, but I also would say that trust isn't just automatic just because somebody has a title. So I mean, I think
I get you. And that's mutual, because it's the same thing. You didn't have to trust me. I didn't have to trust you either. I could have just said, "Hey, whatever you guys decided, then just do it. You're just coming in. I'm the new kid in the block coming in." But I've had 3 cases that I have stopped closures, that I have stopped accounts or missionaries. 3, why? Because I said, "I'm in now. Give me an opportunity to deal with them." My position was vacant. And I know you're going to say, "Well, theirs wasn't vacant. They were there." I'm just talking about that sometimes, we try to go that extra mile and then we get burned. Okay? The good thing that as a pastor, that because you get burned with one member, you still become vulnerable for the next one, because you don't judge the next problem coming in with the one that just left. So,
I mean, I just think that there was a lot of lies in what was said from the front, and I don't think that it's wrong to call that out and to say I disagree with it. And that's like I mean, I don't know. Is this the whole purpose? They want the Facebook post down. They want me to say that I'm trusting and adoring of our leadership. Like, what? Because this is kind of a thing. Like, you join a team overseas and they want you to swear loyalty to the leaders. And yeah, it's great when it comes to the everyday workings of the team that person is in charge of. That's great. But when it comes to stuff that affects us all as the body of Christ, I don't think that we need to just.
If you want me to be loyal to you, or in other words, let me put it this way: if I want you to be loyal to me, I have to be willing to do the same thing to be loyal to you.
But what I want is people to be loyal to the Word of God. I want people to be loyal to integrity. We shouldn't demand loyalty of an individual. We earn trust with each other.
No.
But we shouldn't demand automatic...
I'm bypassing all those loops, because if we're really men and women of God, then we should be that. We should be people of integrity. We should be people of honesty. We should be... Get it. I get that. I'm just saying that, we're getting the tail end of this. Maybe it's not even the tail end. Maybe it just really took a pause, and who knows how it's going to snowball. I just want to make sure that, that you can let the USMEC committee know your heart. That's it. And let the USM committee then weigh you as far as, yes, she is, she has every right to feel this way on the leadership, but she's right now okay, and she can trust, the USM leadership, in this case, Pastor Choco, and even me as your national director for Intercultural Ministries. That's what you have, because like I said, at the end of the day, the post, what you said about the leadership, it trickled down. Everybody saw it as, we're that part of the leadership on this end. So that's something that you would need to clear up and say, look, when I said this on this, it had nothing to do with, AGWM. It had to do only with Chi Alpha. Because I know this, I knew this,
I mean, were you getting messages from AGWM people?
No. I'm saying that because I kept referring to what Grant says, and you said, no, my post had nothing to do with AGWM. It had to do with Chi Alpha.
Yeah, one post, right. I don't know what all they've approached you about. Here's the thing. I made some comments under Dr. Grant's, but Dr. Grant's post too, I don't believe I said anything specifically naming leadership, but I made some comments under his post, and I joined a private group. But it's supposed to be private. Of course, it's Facebook, so people could have very well screenshotted that and sent it to you. But I shared some of my story in a private group among people who are looking to make a change. But
they mentioned to me too. I only read the one where you talk about that leadership excuse list or something like that. That's the one that they questioned me about. So where does Erica stand then with AGUSM? Is she in or is she out? If this is our leadership, they got reelected. Is she going to be able to then, accept that? Or, and I said, I can't answer that.
I think in my post, I think my post is fairly straightforward, because I'm saying you're not going to get an excuseless apology from the leaders, but I'll give it as an ordained minister, and that's all. That's my post, and I feel like that's pretty straightforward. And if they're saying, well, what does this mean moving forward? I mean, this is my way of moving forward, because this is saying that, you know what, I disagree. This is all I can do. All I can do is apologize as an ordained minister. I can't, unfortunately, I'm not the one that can get up in front of the whole general council and do that. Unfortunately, I can't do that. I can't get on NBC and do that. But I can do it as an individual. I can do the right thing. And I don't feel like that's a reason to say, oh, this person doesn't believe in the organization. I mean,
again, we're all different. We all see things different. We all perceive things different, And as I said,
I appreciate the call and the heads up. I do think that there's been kind of a recurrent theme in any of this, where the moment that people will ask and ask and ask for behind closed doors and privately in the Matthew 18 way for things to get dealt with correctly, none of it will happen. And then the moment that they try to take it beyond that, they're silenced, and people aren't okay with that. And it's, do it the Matthew 18 way, go to the person. But, there are certain things that have a level of severity and seriousness that everybody in the organization, to some degree, is responsible for making sure that it gets handled well, and that no more people are hurt. And that, I mean, I don't really know what they want, like me to say I'm wrong for posting, because I don't regret saying that, because I personally am horrified watching the response. I'm horrified that they can't just say they're sorry and own their part in it. Like, that's something that we were made to do all the time, being on a Live Dead team. It's when you're the one underneath people, all the time it was, oh, don't make excuses, just say you're sorry. Even if you're not at fault, just say you're sorry. You know, all the time. And here, there's people that clearly played a role. They have emails dismissing concerns and writing them off, and they can't just say they're sorry. Instead, it's, we didn't know in time, we couldn't do anything because of bylaws. And I'm horrified watching that. Yeah, because I know other people are watching that who were hurt by this. And, like, this was a great opportunity. This district council could have been a great opportunity for them to repent of that and ask for forgiveness and move on. But instead, it was just more defensiveness and more hurting the victims by not acknowledging what actually happened. And I don't know, I'm appalled by that. So I don't regret posting that, look, I'm sorry my organization's responding this way. Because when you tell somebody you're an ordained minister with this organization, they're connecting you to that, whether you want them to or not. I mean, so no, I don't regret saying, look, I don't condone the way that this is being handled. And I don't regret that. I mean, so I don't know what they're looking for. Do I want to move forward with the organization? They can fire me. I mean, I'm sure they're probably wanting to, so they can fire me. I'm not walking away, though, because I do believe that it can change.
Well, I think that's what they want to hear. You know, I said I can call Erica up. I'll talk to her. You know, and I did tell you what I said. I feel like my neck. You know, I stuck it out, and I have no problems losing my head so that somebody else can move forward and advance. But, you know, it's like what they say, you know, they bite the hand that feeds it. It's not really apt because I'm not feeding you at all. But what I'm saying is, you know, as a national director, I had, to a certain degree, the call that I could make whether, you know, you moved forward or not.
But, you know, even you mentioned, like, even the Africa stuff and all of that, and you having to defend me on that, and there was nothing to defend. I left Africa. Okay. I left my teams. Okay. I left both teams on great terms. Both of them said I was welcome back. Yes, I'm not saying I was a perfect team member during my time there, of course, but I'm saying that when I left, I was on great terms. The only moment it went south was years later. I had done the work. I changed. I became everything they want me to become. I earned the right to speak on my way out. And when I was leaving, I vaguely mentioned that, there was some stuff on the field that I believe contributed to my anxiety attacks, and that I'm not okay with that. And I went through the right channels, and I sent a report to the right people. And you know what? I did get pushback from my RD. I got a nasty email from somebody in the Africa office telling me how much I should appreciate those leaders because they did all of this wonderful, amazing stuff for me, the same people that were responsible for the spiritual abuse. But I didn't do anything wrong on my way out of there. And so I get that I wavered momentarily with withdrawing from U.S. missions because I was afraid of that same scenario and because I just was having a hard time with decision making in the moment because it was a lot to process because of the way I was being treated by AGWM. But I mean, I really, really did appreciate you going to bat for me in my district. I really appreciate that. And I get that. I am sorry that this put you in an awkward position with them. But I also don't feel like there was anything to defend. My past with Africa didn't make me a less fit candidate for U.S. missions, and that's
And-
to blame, to look at somebody and say they were hurt in the past, so now they can't be trusted. That's just, like, that shouldn't even be a thing. And that's, I just think that, to now say, well, now I can't ever speak up because I'm indebted to these people that approved me. Now I'm getting put right back in that same situation I was in Africa. You know what happened there? My team leader, I helped you get back to the field. I helped you get your missionary associate approvals. And, now you have to submit to my every word. And I just don't think that's, I understand that people, in general, in the secular world, I get that. Generally, someone's not going to hire you for Amazon if you post that you don't like about Amazon. But I mean, at the same time, if somebody's working for Amazon already and they blow the whistle, they're supposed to be protected from retaliation there. And that's kind of a difference. I'm already in this organization, whether or not with U.S. missions or not. I'm part of the organization as a whole. As an ordained minister, I'm still part of it. And so I still feel that I have a responsibility to speak to these major issues when they're not being handled well by the organization.
Well, I'm just listening. Like I said, there's two sides to every story. I don't know the other side. I just know it was terrible. Talking about 𝐶ℎ 𝐴𝑙𝑝ℎ𝑎, the processes and things that come through our office for recommendations, that's one thing. Okay? And I don't need to go. I know what I needed to do. I know what I did. Okay? And whether if you want to call it, nobody needs to defend me, that's your choice to believe that. But I know that USMEC knows, and the leadership from AGUSM knows of why we did what we did. Okay, whether you see it that way or not, and I'm sorry that even again you're saying, well, just because if you did me a favor, whatever, now I have to submit. No, you don't. You have to do anything that you don't feel is right. I'm not here to control anybody. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same team. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. That's all. And when there are comments that are said that go against my convictions and my beliefs that have nothing to do, that you can't apologize for Doug, you can't apologize for Donna, you can't apologize for anybody there. And until they do it to the satisfaction of the victims, it doesn't matter how many times somebody says, hey, I'm sorry for what happened. Fine, I want to hear it from them. Okay? I can tell you that. And it will never, ever be satisfying until the victims hear it the way they want to hear it. And that's the truth. I'm not saying that to be arrogant or anything. It's just the same way, like I told you. And the thing is that, you can't, to a certain degree, do anything. I could go to a lawyer, say, you know what, I wanted you to bring her in, and I want you, and for slandering, bring it and see if everything that she's saying is true. Why do I want to do that? Huh? To protect myself and to show that I'm right? What does that do to the church? What does that do to the organization that I, as a district superintendent? So
everybody's been asking the whole time, what is this going to do to our church? What is this going to do to our organization? But who's been asking, what is this doing to the victims? Who's been asking that? Who's been rallying? Who's been rallying to support them, though? Like, they see us all rallying to defend.
I'm pretty sure there's people that have done it, but like you said, if there's a whole group that didn't know, so not everybody's doing it.
No, but I mean, there's a lot of people.
Everybody, we say that, I get it. We say that it's just part of the cliches, but it's not always everybody.
There's a lot of people publicly rallying to defend the organization and to defend leaders. And, I get that you don't want leaders who didn't intend for students to be harmed to get swept up in this and everything. But I feel like the place for that is after we've rallied to the defense of the victims, and after we've let their voices be heard, and after we've recognized their pain and the role that our organization played in that. And that's why if everybody's going to rally around this article and this NBC News article, if everyone's going to be rallying around it to defend AG, I might have to be that voice that stands out and says, look, I'm not defending it. I'm sorry it happened. And I don't know. I mean, sure, maybe it won't make a dent, but I still feel like it's the right thing to do rather than staying silent and not doing anything.
Yeah, no, I this is my first rodeo. It may be here in the national office. It's not even the first rodeo in my national office. As a former superintendent, as a pastor, I've gone through many of this stuff in different areas, in different ways. And again, you're never going to satisfy anybody, sadly to say. If you do this, the other people are upset. If you don't do it, the people that say you should have done it are upset. So as long as you do, I believe, what you feel is right without offending how can I say? Well, because you're going to offend anybody anyway. But just to use your choice words. It just doesn't make sense for me that if you were a pastor and I'm in your church and I say I just don't believe in the pastor. So what are you doing there? Oh, because I'm going to make sure that we can.
No, I didn't say I don't believe in the pastor. But if I was on staff with the church and a staff,
I'm saying that.
But if I was on staff at a church, and if the pastor got up on, and let's say on national television, he used a racial slur or something like that, something crazy like that, and I am on staff at that church, and if that pastor just denied and made excuses and never apologized, I don't think that it would be wrong then as a staff member to stand up and say, hey, I see why it's wrong, and I'm sorry that happened from our church. And that, that's... So, again, my post is talking specifically about not apologizing without excuses. It didn't say... I didn't bash everything about them. I didn't say anything else about their character. I'm talking about a specific situation.
That's what they asked me to do.
I mean, I know you're overloaded with stuff and everything, but, I can't read those emails from 2018 and 2019 that went to the national office and their responses to that, and then sit there and listen to them deny all of that and not, be appalled. And I think a lot of people never have seen the original emails, so they're just taking them at their word that,
yeah, and I'm one of
hey.
them. I have no idea of what those emails were.
And that's what I'm saying is a lot of people are just, and they're doing what the thing is that they want us all to do. Just to say, hey, not my place, I just have to trust my leaders, and if they said this is how it went down, this is how it went down. But I've seen the emails, I've seen the evidence, I know that what they did up there was a legal defense, basically, and it's very harmful, though, to the victims, and I'm concerned about that. And that's, I don't think that everybody is fully informed, honestly, about the whole thing, because it's been intentionally kept under wraps, and it's been kept quiet. And
that may be something you might want to share with the executive committee and just say, hey, did you guys see this? Did you guys read this? This is what I'm basing myself on. This right here. That it says this, this, and this, and when they gave the report says this, and I'm pretty sure you might be able to get a copy of the report, and say, and this report said this. So my statement is based on these emails and the response, and I perceive that these emails were sent way in advance, and they did know about it, to come and then say, well, we knew nothing about it. That's why I said what I said. Well, you got yourself a case there, because you're referring to that email and then to the statement that was made.
yeah.
And you see what I'm saying? I'm just, again...
There were places, and in the private ministers group where people were talking about it, I did share the emails because people were asking what's going on. What's the deal? So I did share those emails.
That would be what you would, to be honest with you, that's what I would do. I was asked by Pastor JR he called me about my statement, and I understand I'm the only one that could respond to that. Bottom line is this. I received these emails that apparently were also, or not apparently, but that I know of, that were sent to the national office on these dates. Yet the report said that they knew nothing about it, that they didn't know. Based on these emails and the statements, that's why I said what I said, because then they did know about it. Okay? And that's where my statement stands. Do I still want to be part of the organization? Yes. Do I think that there could be change? Yes. Is Pastor Choco, I understand he's over now. I believe and trust that God will use him to bring, rest to this situation. I'll be praying for him because it's not something beautiful that he inherited when he came in, and then, because I don't even know about those emails, okay? I don't know. And if there is something there that gives you the reason to say what you say, then that's the reason. Here it is. Okay? Because of this, now, if there's something different that I don't know, then I'm okay taking the top part.
But I mean, how is that even? Like, how is it even that you guys who are in these higher up positions don't even know how this stuff was responded to?
I can answer that quickly. Number one, I just came in a year ago. Okay. Number two, some of these allegations are not given to everybody at the national office. They're dealt with the ELT and with legal and with the executive presbytery, which we're not part of.
But what about when the executive presbytery was part of the problem? So they're dealing with themselves now.
No, yeah.
And that's the problem here.
Well,
when people say, don't take
you
it.
can address that if you want. Again, I'm not part of the executive presbytery. I just know when there's cases, whether it's with ministers or even with this child abuse deal or any of it, will go to the ELT, which are the 6 people that are there. The superintendent, the assistant, the secretary, the treasurer, AGWM director, and AGUSM director. Those are the 6 of the ELT. And then you have the executive presbytery that's made up of, I think, 21. Okay? So whenever they deal on anything like this, they don't bring the whole national office leaders, men's ministry, women's directors. We don't deal with any of that. They deal with that.
But, I think that, I know that's how it's structured, but I also think that this is a big part of the problem, because for those 6 people at the top, there's very little accountability, and
they're accountable. They're accountable to the LT, to the executive presbytery, to 21 people. Okay, they're accountable to them.
I mean, it's hard because there's the ones whose names are on those emails. They were the ones copied on
to them.
Donna Barrett's the one responding to the email telling them they're not going to do anything about the situation back in 2018.
She's the secretary, but she won't make the decision on her own. That is brought to the executive presbytery.
Right.
21 people.
But then she's the one standing up there and defending it.
Well, yeah.
And she's the one that...
Yeah, but it's not her own report. That's the report of all the 21 and the 6 people there. She's a secretary. She's going to read that report. It's like me. I've had, when I was a superintendent, we had cases that went to court.
I just don't know how you can stand up there with a clear conscience and say, like, oh, we didn't know in time and there was nothing we could do, when it's just so clearly not true.
Well, I can't respond to that. Like I said, all I can tell you is none of them individually handle these cases by themselves. It's brought to their attention. They meet with the ELT, the 6, and those 6 then will present it to the executive presbytery if it's something that needs to go there, and then when it deals with legalities. And it's the executive presbytery that will then, they'll take a vote. Maybe they weren't all in agreement, but the majority won or whatever. The statement is being read of what was decided and the procedures that took place, and she's reading that as a secretary, not that she dealt with it by herself.
Well, I appreciate you giving me a heads up.
Yeah. But I'll email you once everybody's in and see what date we can do that. Maybe it'll be Zoom or maybe it'll be before the co-send. We'll see. Okay?
All right.
Thank you for your time, Erica. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Okay. Blessings. Bye-bye.